So, can you elaborate more on the pressure on judges due to increasing backlog?
Oh, yes. That is, earlier, the pressure was unidimensional. Earlier, it was only with regard to disposal. Right? Now, it's multidimensional because you have been exposed. You are living in a glass house. Even your proceedings are live streamed. Right? So now the pressure is all around. Let me first handle this pressure of workload. When I was in Bombay, I wrote a judgment saying on the original side in Bombay, the very purpose of original site was to have high stake matters disposed of expeditiously. But it's become sort of a counterproductive with our fascination. Not only Bombay High Court, any high court, any trial court, wherever it is in India, we've been what do you call obsessed with procedural niceties. And we file our interlocutory applications invoking all provisions in CPC and CRPC in dozens. So most of the times we measure an advocate's caliber by his prowess to file more interlocutory applications and get interim orders rather than having the final solution. So this is one way. It's legislative in a sense, and also sometimes courts may also have to put a firm hand on this process of these dilatory things. That's the only way out. Of course, in 2002, CPC sought to be amended. Then timelines have been fixed. Now you've got Commercial Courts Act with a strict time frame, etc. But somehow the dilution takes place. Again, we come back to, you have seen what happened to our, what do you call that, the international reckoning of our ranking when it comes to ease of doing business. One of the factors is the adjudication and its speed of contractual matters or commercial matters. So yes, judges face tremendous pressure when it comes to disposal. Disposal, inadequacy of infrastructure, inadequacy of number of judges, and this humongous process of procedure, which has been engulfing us and making us very difficult to have anything done on a faster lane. This is the problem. You have seen 138 check bouncing cases. You have seen commercial courts. They're all coming to. Have you ever seen one instance where absolutely as per the time frame things have been done? No. But the problem is multifaceted. You can't blame the judges alone. They've been overburdened. You know, when it comes to American Supreme Court, in the whole year, 9 judges sitting together, they decide 70 to 90 cases maximum. When cases are filed, 0.5% of the cases they admit for hearing. They come to 70 to 90. And judges, they write lead judgment and then people having their dissent or concurring. So on an average, a judge of the American Supreme Court may write 10 to 15 judgments in the entire year. In the entire year, he might be writing 10 to 15. The rest they may simply concur. But an Indian Supreme Court judge, of course, not different when it comes to high courts as well, since that's the apex court I cite it as an example. Each judge, almost every month, writes 100 to 200 judgments. Imagine, how would you expect stellar quality and research time for them? Because we say that we should have judgments of this class or that class, but where is the time for them? Of course, you still have the best of the judgments coming from us. But this is a factor that's been eating into our ability to produce world-class judgments. Yes, please.
So,
the other one, as you said, the pressure, of course, now social media, right? They render judgments, they ask us to follow that one. Otherwise, you become a villain. Sometimes some people almost fell into the era of playing to the galleries. This is the danger that we've been facing. Sometimes the judges face the allegation of playing to the galleries, and sometimes wearing their political ideology on their sleeves. And some people say that I go by my conscience. Right? I don't think conscience or personal philosophy or personal view have anything to do with your adjudication. It is the only statute, and above that, it is only the Constitution, not even God. They say that as Henry Longfellow says, heart within, God above. But here, heart within and Constitution above, nothing else.
But sir, do you think increasing instances of online criticism has also made it a little difficult for judges to?
Yes. See, when, say, for example, in England, The society was very much a tiny society, as big as perhaps one of our districts in Uttar Pradesh. And a few thousands of people, or at best a couple of millions of people, they felt that being open is everything and sunlight is the best disinfectant. There should not be any contempt, etc., etc. Can we straight away import that to the Indian atmosphere? I don't think it's possible. So, yes, it should be open, it should be accessible. I do support, but it comes as a baggage with all its good and bad things. I tell you, recently, one judge was playing devil's advocacy. Every judge, to get the best out of the advocate and to get answers for its doubts, they play the devil's advocacy. If you are arguing for the petitioner, they will grill you as if they were supporting the respondent. If I am arguing for the respondent in the same case as your counterpart, they grill me as if they were supporting you, the petitioner's counsel. So that way they try to get the best and they decide, because they have the mortal fear of making a mistake if they are not vigilant or if not alert. So that's why they grill us. And most of the times untrained people, with great respect to all of them, because I'm part of that laity, all common people, they feel that the questions reflect their personal views. They never reflect a judge's personal view. And once a judge put a question in a different context when he smiled very slightly, and then you could have seen the social media outburst saying that the question was with regard to genocide, the question was with regard to killing of one religion or one caste, the judge was smirking. So this is the allegation. How could you take one frame online when somebody, if you are smiling, if I put a different question, you wouldn't be stopping immediately that smile and frowning. It won't be. But can I import that the question you have smiled at, it's an endorsement. So these are the problems we do face, but you just have to go forward, because judges don't play to the galleries and they don't need any certificates.
So moving on, what is your take on post-retirement jobs for judges? Do you think handing over a constitutional post would weaken the independence of judiciary?
That has weakened the moral stature of many a judge, unfortunately. It's entirely a personal answer. Left to myself, it isn't good. At least there should be some cooling off time, only to ward off allegations. Not that they sign on dotted lines, whatever the assignment they take, tribunals, etc., whatever. But still, as I say, justice should not only be done, but should also seem to be done. SEEN. So even their conduct, their attitude within themselves, they may be perfect, but we should also send a message to the society. And also, when it comes to arbitrations, etc., I don't think any judge has any dearth of work. They do have a lot.
Do you think, sir, that central government has been slow in taking decision on recommendations?
Well, is it a judicial question, legal question, or a political question? Because my knowledge of politics doesn't extend beyond reading the daily newspaper, because I don't watch TV as a matter of principle. Only newspaper, because I believe news is the one that survives that night, comes in the morning in the print, not the one that evaporates on an electronic screen. That's why I don't watch, right? I only read, because it has to survive. And once Abraham Lincoln has said, the oldest thing on earth is yesterday's newspaper, right? So news, yes. When it comes to the delay in appointments, now I am a lawyer. I'm entitled to my views. I feel in some instances, yes, there have been delays. They are unexplainable and inexplicable. Perhaps it may put in a better light, whichever is the government, the executive, once they adopt a uniform policy.
So what is your take on nepotism in judicial field, including for appointment of judges?
Why do we point out this nepotism in judiciary? We are human beings, right? Have you read that Richard Dawkins' Selfish Gene? It has got its scientific base. Please read it. It's a wonderful book. It has got its scientific base. But nepotism at the cost of what you call talent cannot be. I tell you, suppose you're a judge. Your daughter has the advantage of looking at you when you are a lawyer, then becoming a judge. She gets inspired. She works very hard. And she performs very well all through as a lawyer. If she is to be made a judge, Can we call it nepotism? There are advocate sons, judges' children, rather son, I say children. Some of them may become judges. Can we call it nepotism? Right? It can't be. Because, a judge is not something he just comes and takes salary and goes away. A judge has to perform. If he doesn't have talent, if he doesn't have the tendency to work hard, he could not survive in the system. So somebody getting picked up, if at all there is any 5 to 10% advantage, as you call it, nepotism, etc. But how would he survive 10 years, 14, 15 years, or 18, 20 years? It isn't possible. He has to measure up. So I just discount this factor of nepotism in judiciary because they perform on their feet or on their seat. So I don't think it carries them anyway.
So during your tenure, you used to use a lot of electronic devices to take notes
Yes.
during hearings. You even
Yes.
suggested advocates to use technology. So now
See-
there's an advent of
Please go on and finish it.
there's an advent of artificial technology in judicial work. What is your take on the whole?
Right. And now you've got the master of technology as the Chief Justice of India. He loves technology, to no end. And when I began my career in 1998 in Tirupati, a remote place by then, and I was the first advocate in that place to buy a computer. Those days, with 8 GB hard disk, it cost me 75,000 rupees. I had to take a loan, I had to get it. And then the printer those days cost me around 15,000 rupees, close to a lakh of rupees. I could have bought a couple of acres by then for that money. Then I had that one. I was the first one who started filing all the pleadings typed on a computer and then with this inkjet printer and all those things. Even with regard to these summons, all these forms which are stereotyped and you could get from a clerk in the court, I used to type them in my own way and did things. So that was the beginning there. And then after going over to Hyderabad, I continued my dalliance with technology. Then I started using for my dictation purpose Dragon, naturally speaking. And I've also had subscription to almost all law journals electronic. Then I became a judge, perhaps then in Hyderabad, without causing offense to any of the then brother and sister judges. I was the first one to use my laptop and iPad on the bench in 2013. Then, of course, it's become a passe. Everybody started. But yes, I did. And also, until my debiting the office, I used to tell the advocates, please don't give citations to me. Don't waste the paper. You simply tell the citation. I can access on my iPad because I've got all sorts of softwares which have stored all these decisions. So I could access them. So I always discouraged them giving me physical papers, etc.
Right. And nowadays,
Get used, and it was really fantastic. Most of the times when they were arguing and they were struggling on a point, I could as well access and get the case law and tell them, please, why don't you look into this one? It may be helpful, may not be helpful. That way, yes, technology irreplaceable when it comes to adjudication.
Then nowadays, AI is being used to even write judgments, like a Punjab and Haryana High Court judge has used.
See, there are two things. AI is a very good thing to assist you in your research, perhaps. But of course, there are softwares where even judgments could be written. Right? See, what is that? If you get the help, it's very good. And if you get the whole thing done by them, it's an abdication. I don't think that should be the way. When it comes to judgment writing, it is you who should be doing. All the material you gather, that could be the technology that should be helping.
So one final question. There's been an ongoing debate about vacations for courts. As a lawyer and as a former judge, what is your stand?
A good question indeed, in the end. See, my friends, when I was a judge, would call me, say, on Friday evening or Saturday or Sunday. They would ask me, what are you doing? It's a weekend. How will you spend your time? Why aren't you gone to a movie or this, that? See, for a judge, for an advocate for that matter, both of them, there's nothing like anything like a weekend, right? Weekend is for us to recharge ourselves. We're like electric cars. The whole week would be running, and Saturday, Sunday, we have to recharge intellectually. We have to catch up with all the decisions that have been rendered. We have to go through the journals, and we have to think of the pending cases and prepare for them, everything. So it is a myth to say that judges have anything, for that matter, advocates. And also, let's take about the vacation, right? Vacation, when it comes to a judge, it's completely exhausting and enervating intellectual journey and exercise for them throughout the day, throughout the week, and throughout the month. And unless they have got breaks, they break down. Whether it is 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, it's a different story. But vacation is not to laze around. Vacation serves two purposes. One thing is it recharges them intellectually and restores them physically. They are quite essential. Otherwise, you will see very poor quality judges, health-wise, even mental health-wise.
I see. Finally, sir, any word of advice for young lawyers?
Yes. Word of advice. When you go to a doctor, he prescribes some medicine for your problem. Next time you go to him, you say, doctor, it hasn't worked. Then he'll change the prescription, right? But you don't change the doctor because you have got faith. It continues. When you go to an engineer to plan your house, well, he does it. You don't check his credentials, what percentage marks he got in designing, etc. But you still trust, and he gives it based on his knowledge and experience. Nobody's going to question him, right? Neither the doctor nor the engineer, for that matter, in any profession. But a lawyer, you see, the moment he stands, he has to perform on his feet. And there is an opposite advocate to attack him the moment he makes a mistake, or there is any weakness in his case or in his presentation. Above all, the judge is there. It's a daily battle for any advocate to survive. Only the fittest will survive, right? Many people believe by networking, by being a member of a club, this, that, you will have your friends circle expanded, your clientele get expanded, other things. No. Somebody comes to you, perhaps sympathetic, because they know your parents and they would like to give you a case, they would like to promote you, but you fail to perform, they would not come back. They would take it away. They wouldn't be coming back, right? That way, this is the profession which is a daily battle, right? Only the fittest will survive. The crowd is always at the bottom. The complaint about overcrowding, etc., will not be here. They saying that face value. No. At the end of the day, the judge has to give reasons. He can't look at the advocate's face and give a judgment. And an advocate, he has to perform. To perform, he has to be the best. So my advice is, young advocate has got the greatest asset, which many others don't have, like me. That's the time. You have the time. And you put the time to effective use, sky is the limit. And I always tell them, don't be ever second best. You should be the best. And in American school philosophy, they called thumbody. You're not somebody, you're thumbody. You're as unique as your thumb. So should be an advocate. You should be the best. For that, the best thing is work hard. Working hard in the sense, not in the negative sense. Love your work. And then everything falls in line.
Thank you, sir. That was some genuine advice. Thank you for speaking with us, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon.